and we will start with today's webinar. Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome again in this beautiful morning to this webinar. So, my name is Jira Software, and I'm going to be your host throughout today's webinar. We are about to see the presentation, which is going to take 45 minutes. And you can look forward to hear and see some interesting facts and informations about data migration process from Jira to Easy Redmine. Present you who is going to be presenting these informations today. I have here my colleague Peter with me.
Hello, everybody.
And with Peter and me, we are having our colleague David right here.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are located. I'm David.
Both our gentlemen are our main presenters for throughout this today's topic, and they prepare some interesting information for us today. So that's technically all from my side. So I would like to now pass the floor to Peter, which is going to tell us more information and stuff about this presentation. So Peter, it's all yours.
Right, thank you. So yeah, today we will be mostly discussing about what are the potential risks if you will stay still on your own server installing the Attlassain products. And then of course, we will then, or once you decide to go from the Jira towards the Easy Redmine, so then we will describe you in a detail what's the migration process behind, what are the, let's say, what data are included, what are excluded, what are the challenges, and then of course, let's say the most exciting part would be like a live demo. So my colleague will show you how the migration works in the reality. And as Sifi said, like at the end, there will be of course the place for your questions. So feel free and try to use the chat maximally, and then we will try to let's say reply at the end. All right, so in that case, let's move on. So as I'm pretty sure you are aware, like within the 3 weeks, like if you will still stay on your server, install the Jira software, so you won't have a chance to download the let's say latest upgrades, latest patches, especially to fix some security issues. And then, of course, you could be arguing like you are in a separated network, and then your IT guys are, let's say, very serious that. But please be aware that, let's say, once you will basically skip that, let's say, deadline, so then you have to be more focused on the security itself, and then be even more strict to separate your network line towards to the rest of the world. And then, of course, there is, let's say, one risk from the business perspective, because if you do have like your suppliers or partners or let's say clients, so I'm pretty sure they would be requiring like the latest data privacy compliance from your side. So please be aware that that could be also one potential risks within the dialogue with your clients if you still stay on your server installing the Jira software. And then of course, like the Attlassain announced, like there would be like a limited, or let's say no technical support, which means in effect that if you will have any troubles in the future, so they would be arguing like you're using the old unsupported version, so there won't be any chance to install the bug fix, or let's say any advisory would be, let's say, obsolete in that time. So please be aware about it. And then, of course, if we are talking about like a obsolete and then the timeline, so then the technology is moving forward, of course. So again, I would like to underline the security aspect, because then if there will be any active threat which is getting through your security, through your, let's say, network zone, so then it could be even impact to your whole organization. So please consider it as a like a serious problem. And then, of course, like if you are actively using the add-ons, the plugins from the marketplace, so they do have also compatible version with the like installed Jira, right? So I'm pretty sure like you can stay be using like your Jira version with the compatible plugins, but of course in the future, if you would need any extension for these plugins, for these add-ons, so it won't be be possible. So that's just like a small summary, because the 14th of February is basically the date when the Attlassain is ending the, let's say, support for the server clients. And as said, like, we do have an alternative next to this one. So if you will decide to go like for the migration from your Jira software towards to Easy Redmine, so we do have a platform which is installed inside the Easy Redmine, so where you can relatively easy, let's say, migrate the majority of the data, including the projects, especially the projects, and then let's say the tasks which are installed in the projects with almost 90% of the attributes. So let's say statuses are there, assignee, author. You can see this screen, by the way, is let's say from one of our reference clients. So those are the real data, guys. So as said, so the attributes like assignee, author, estimated time is migrated. Trackers, which means the issue type from the language of the Jira. And then also the Jira key is migrated, because if you would like to have a reference to the existing Jira tickets, so then it will be migrated to, right? So in the future, if you will need like to cross-check something on your old server, so then you will know the name and the number of the ticket inside the Jira. And then next to this one, we will migrate also the priority, the due date, start date if it exists, also the spend time, also quite useful. And then the fixed versions, we are calling it as a milestone, right? So don't be confused, but basically fixed versions are migrated. And next to fixed version, also labels, sprints, right? And then the components are migrated. So those are basically the top popular attributes from the Jira ticket. And then of course next to this one, the description, which you can see in here, the attachments, whatever format is migrated, and then the same structure as you had in the Jira, like a parent versus subtask. So this will be also migrated. And then of course the comments. So basically who did it, when did it. So as said, like the 90% of the attributes from the, let's say, task perspective will be migrated. So you don't need to be worried that you will lose any significant data. But to be fair enough, what is excluded from the migration? For example, workflows, because we do have a different principle how the application is behaving. So we are not using schemas and screens, which are of course helpful in the Jira from the perspective of the, let's say, unique setup per each project, right? But in the Easy Redmine, there is a different principle. So we don't have that mid layer. So everything is configured like globally, which means in effect that you will have to consolidate somehow your data in order to, let's say, after the migration. But I will describe it later on. But yeah, to be honest, there is always a trick like how to do it. So even per project, you can create like a specific workflow, but there is like necessary configuration behind. And what else is excluded? For example, permissions, right? So we are migrating the standard catalogs like users and then the roles, but the permissions are, again, we do have a different principle for the permissions. So you can imagine like the sets of the rights which you can activate or deactivate, and we do have a different sets of the rights against to the Jira, so it can't be migrated logically. So the permissions have to be set it up afterwards, and then the same as well as the dashboards. So on the left side, you can see that this is again the screen from the Jira, where you can, let's say, select from the predefined dashboards, predefined gadgets, and then you can apply like a simple condition, and then you will see like a specific chart, for example, on your homepage of the Jira application. But in the Easy Redmine, on the, let's say, right side, these reference screens, there is a more flexible approach, which means in effect that you can configure whatever statistic you like. You just have to select the entity. And then, for example, this screen is visualizing the axes, right? So what you would like to see on the axis X, what you would like to see on the axis epsilon. And then afterwards, you can even, let's say, more adjust the conditions. So it's not so limited as in the Jira, like you have a predefined filter using the JQL, and that's it. So in the Easy Redmine, you can configure purely your own statistics, your own KPIs, and then at the end, it could look like the chart, which is here on the bottom. So what does it mean in effect? So logically different approaches, right? So we can't migrate it just one-to-one from Jira towards to Easy Redmine. So as a part of the migration, there is a need to configure it manually. But don't worry, don't be worried. Like we will show it to you during the migration process. So here is like overall chart, but the most important is that we will need your assistance, right? So here you can see the streamline for the customer, and especially during the initial phase, like we will need like the export of the data from your Jira, which means like to get the data itself plus attachments, right? So this is like the step number 2.1, and then afterwards we are using like a 2 steps migrations, right? The first step means to migrate the enumerations. So it's like different naming, but it's nothing else than just we are migrating the list of the catalogs, which are like a statuses, issue types, users, roles, custom fields. So those are for us like enumerations. And after that import, after that first step import, there is like a system setting and customization, which means nothing else than just like a consolidation of these enumerations, which in effect means like in reality, you have like 100 statuses migrated towards to Easy Redmine. And now we have to sit together with you and said, all right, are really these 100 statuses important for you, or can we consolidate it into the just 10 which are actively used, right? So this is like the part of this system setting and customization. So once we will do that, so afterwards, there is a place for the test import, right? So then we can import the data itself, which means like a projects and the tasks, right? So we will import it. And then afterwards, there is a phase for the customer testing, right? So now you have to cross-check if the data are imported well. There could be some exceptions, especially regarding to the add-ons, right? Because the classic like a Jira software without any add-ons, so we can migrate it relatively easily. But if there are any exceptions from the add-ons, from the plugins, so of course this will need small adjustment, right? So there is the phase where we can let's say together cross-check the data itself, and then at the end, once you said all right, we are ready to go live, so then there is a final Jira export. So again, let's say you or your IT team from the Jira will export the latest dump and then send it or import it into the let's say Easy Redmine, and then you can go live. This is always happening over the weekend in order to be secure, because it's taking a time. To be honest, this is like this procedure. The whole procedure is not just about like a one click somewhere in the application, but it's taking a time. What does it mean in the reality? And that's one of the challenge. If you do have like a history in a Jira, let's say over the years, which means of course that you have, for example, the attachments there, and then the size of the export could be even in the gigabytes. So then please be aware that if you do have, for example, 5 gigabyte, let's say file, including your Jira data, so then it is taking like around the 4 hours, the import itself, right? So you can imagine like if we are re-importing the data, so it could be time consuming. So please be aware about it. And then of course, if we are talking about the time and the timeline, so the second point, the cleanup. So as we have been discussing, for example, here you can see the reference screen. So this is like the initial import of the statuses, right? So there could be, I remember the client, there was even like 80 statuses. And then at the end, after the cleanup, we configure it into the form of, let's say, 5 active statuses, right? So please be aware that your assistance will be needed there. And it's also taking a time. So you have to reserve like a couple of days or ideal weeks, like for the help with the data consolidation during the import. And then, of course, at the end, like we will need the direct access to the server itself, because of course, let's say you will have your Easy Redmine installed on your server, but as said, like especially due to the, let's say, Jira add-ons, Jira plugins, from time to time we have to log into the server itself, to the console, and adjust the code directly. Because if we will be, let's say, using the sharing of the screen, using the TeamViewer or another platform, so it could really take some time. So, but anyhow, let's say classically the migration could take the weeks, right? But yeah, there are a couple of prerequisites as said, like this direct access to the server, because otherwise it could even jump into the months, right? So just be aware. And that's basically it from the perspective of the whole process migration. And now I would like to hand over the screen to my colleague who will show you like a live demo.
Okay, let me share my screen then. And let's proceed with the demo Jira migration. All right. So in front of you, you should see my screen with the Jira application, where I have a couple of test projects where I would like to demonstrate what we migrate and how. So I have one simple waterfall project here. It's a family house construction. So it's a typical waterfall project. If we jump to a timeline, then we'll see that there are tasks and relations in between tasks. And can take some time. It's probably not optimized. Okay, let's see what we have in the other project. All right, so this is the agile project. So you can see the timeline here on the second one as well. And this is a typical development project. So you have your epics here, and then you have underneath ongoing tasks under current sprint number 7. You have releases or fixed versions here. So it's something you know, and also you have the backlog. And the versions here, the epics here, backlog with the new tasks, and the current sprint number 7. So this is the agile project I'm going to use for demonstration. And then let's have a look. This is the waterfall. So tasks, subtasks, and the relations in between them. Okay. So on the other side, I do have a clean, easy Redmine application. It's clean. So if I click on projects, you'll see that there is 0 projects. If I click on tasks, then there will be 0 tasks. So it's clean and ready for the migration. The same thing if we click milestones. Milestones are versions or releases in Jira terminology. Okay, so there is 0 as well. And one more thing, I would like to check that there are no users or almost no users. There is only this one user that's me, and I'm there as administrator for the migration purposes. Okay. So now I would typically, as a first step, I would go to Jira. I would go to settings and system, where you can find backup manager in import and export. And under this backup manager, you can create a backup and download the file. I don't have to do it. It's a waste of time because I did it before. So we can skip this part and go directly to Easy Redmine into administration part and find the migration tool under advanced import. So let's see where it is. So Easy Jira Migrator. And we create a new job here. That means we give it a name, like test Jira migration. And then we pick the file, and which is the export file from Jira. That's typically a zip package. It's in form of XML. So I browse it. Okay, let's use this one. And then I click save. And in this moment, application is loading the package and preparing the migration job. Okay. All right. So this is the detail of the migration job. We have several options here. For this demo purpose, I would pick the first option, run both steps, but only for demonstration. In the real case, as Peter was explaining, the migration is not one-step process. So first, I would typically go for run step 1 to import the enumeration, such as issue types and statuses and roles and custom fields and others. And then we would spend a couple days or weeks configuring the application, configuring the permissions and matching the statuses on both sides and creating dashboards and customizing the environment for user types. It's quicker than me. And then we would go for run step 2, which actually migrates the data, such as projects, tasks, and users. And as we can see, the job has completed successfully. If we want, we can download migration log somewhere and have a look at it. Yeah, there's one already. And check the details. Okay, so yeah, you can see what the system was doing, and if it fails, this can easily fail. Guys, if we are in IT, there's always something that can go wrong and that can fail. And honestly, this process is not as easy as it looks. You need to have some experience. You need to know what you are doing. So that's why we provide it as a service, not as a out-of-box solution. Migrate your Jira. So okay, so here I can see that Jira import finished after 37 seconds. That was quick, but also my test environment doesn't have that much data. So all right. Now let's see the migrated data. So I can jump to projects and see if there is something new. All right, so this is my agile project. This is my waterfall project. So they're there. We do have some tasks, I suppose. Yes, 134 open tasks, I suppose. Can be more if there are some closed tasks. Doesn't really matter. Let's see there. They have different attributes. They're linked to epics as parent tasks. They're related to projects. They have assignees. They have, if we click here on this one, there is an attachment. So, okay, let's see. So this is a migrated task. This is the attachment. Yeah, it's there. Cool. What else? Users. Let's check users and groups. Okay, so there is, apart from my user, there are others. Let's see, there are also groups from Jira. As we had them there. All right. Now what I would like to do is go in users. See that a lot of users are the system users dedicated for the integration or automation, or things like Slack, Trello, Jira Service Management. These are like technical system users, but also we should find other real users like this one. That's me, and that's my Jira user. What I would like to do now is edit this user. And okay, let's give it a reasonable login, DP, something like that. I will switch my profile to from team member to project manager, which will affect what I see here in the menu and what I see on my home dashboard. I'll make myself administrator because I don't want any obstructions while I'm showing this. So password and save. So the user was updated. Now I can try to log out from my current profile. Okay, sign out. And I can log as the Jira user. So DP. All right, here we go. You may notice that the dashboard has changed a little bit. I now have, okay, this is just a walkthrough guide. There are some of them that they usually pop up if you're there for the first time. And once you go through, they will disappear for each user. So no big deal, you'll see some more of them. So this is my project manager dashboard. So see the menu is a bit different. And now, okay, let's see what I have in my projects, for example. Okay, good. So I can even, yeah, bye-bye. I can even see my projects here because I'm the project manager for these projects. And let's see what they have inside. So I'll open them on new tabs and we can double check what's inside. So this is the waterfall project, a family house construction. And first we can check WBS. That's one of the project modules. That's you know, it's work breakdown structure. So it shows you, okay, it shows you the tree decomposition of your project scope. So these are the tasks and subtasks that we migrated from Jira. So they have different statuses, different assignees, you know, they have the structure, and we can also go to Gantt. So meanwhile, let's double check. This is the original project timeline or schedule, and this is how it looks in our Gantt. So we have a similar tool. You see that the assignees, you have the tasks here and the relations in between them. So far so good. If we click on tasks, this should give us a list of the tasks on this project. And yeah, so you see they are related to this project. There are various attachments. And if we click to spend time, we should find all the time that was locked to this project and its tasks, which is one of the entity we do migrate. So see, this is an information for project manager, what was spent in terms of hours. Okay, that's one. Now let's have a look at the Agile project. So as the first thing, I would just go in modules, because each project in our easy Redmine can have different modules activated. Typically, for Agile projects, you don't really need work breakdown structure or Gantt. You still may use them, but you would probably like to see project Scrum board or Kanban board. On the other hand, if you have a waterfall project, you don't need Scrum board or Kanban board. So let's go to see tasks in this Agile project. So this is just pure list of the tasks, but since we do use milestones, and there were versions in Jira, let's see how they look if we group them by milestones. Okay, so this is list of my releases. For instance, this is the February release. Okay, 4 tasks that are under this release. Okay, that's this this part. Okay, we can now group it by epics if we like. So instead of grouping by a milestone, we would group by parent task here. And what we get is, all the tasks grouped by epics, which correspond to list of your epics in your project here. So you can compare them. Also, what we can do is group them by a sprint to see that this has been migrated as well. All right, so this is the list of existing sprints on my project. The last one is the sprint that's actually ongoing, search engine, fancy user interface, etc. So this should be actually, if we go to Springboard, that's this one. Okay, so the data is there. The data is there. If we want, you can see the actual sprint here here in Scrum board. So this would be the actual sprint. Yeah, you see that the columns or the statuses do not match exactly, and that's exactly because we didn't do the interim configuration. We just simply loaded the data and migrated the data, but we didn't match, the statuses, columns, and everything that has to be done before the data migration. So as I'm saying, this is just for the demo purpose. Okay, and if we want to see, I don't know, list of sprints, that we do have a sprint dashboard where you can place the important information about your sprint. So first there's a list of sprints here. The actual one is now sprint number 7. It's not closed, it's open, while the others are the history. They are closed already. The start date, due date. You have the goal of the sprints, etc. So as you can see, it's not a myth that we can migrate your Jira data into our easy Redmine. This was just a quick example, something really quick with no customization, no modification. That would be typically the biggest part of the process. So that's all I had to say about this, and I'll just return the word back to my colleagues then.
Sure. So now is the good time for you to ask the question, what you are actually interested about, what is not that much clear you would like to actually clarify. It's totally your time right now, so go ahead. Dimitrios, so is there some sort of official Redmine support? Does it include SLA?
Of course, yes, we do offer support for our solution through our help desk or client zone. So yeah, and if you are interested in a special SLA, custom SLA, it is possible as well. So the answer is yes.
Mikhail, do you have any case studies with data migration from Jira? So for example, Peter?
Yeah, we do, definitely. It depends, like if you're interested like into the, let's say, server-based or cloud-based, because we do have still the clients like who are migrating from, let's say, Jira on the server also to the Easy Redmine on the cloud versus Jira on the server to Easy Redmine on the server. So, but we do have a both. So if you want, we can of course share it to you, like to see how it behaved in the reality.
Do exist any automation features?
Okay, I'll take this one. Well, not yet, but we are actually preparing these features for a new version that should be released this year. Of course, maybe if I may add, but our system has API, REST API, so there is always some kind of automation possible or integration with other applications. But the integrated automation is on the list for new big version.
How many days or weeks is usually needed to migrate from Jira to Redmine?
It usually, if may I comment, so usually it takes weeks, right? But it depends on the prerequisites and then the assistance also from the client side. So as we have been discussing, like there is a needed support, especially during the data consolidation, right? So if everything is smooth and then we do have, let's say, the support from the client, then we do have a connection to the server, we do have a, let's say, necessary data, and there are no surprises in a form of, let's say, specific plugins installed in the Jira. So then usually it's really matters of the weeks, right? So you can count like, let's say, 1 to 2 months.
And if I may add, you could see that if you have simple Jira instance with not too much data, that it could take minutes or hours. Usually the first step, the enumerations migration is quite quick, but then there is the most time-consuming part, and that's the matching the statuses, setting the permissions, creating dashboards, and personalizing the tool to types of users that work with the application, such as project managers or team leaders or team members. So this is the most time-consuming part that usually takes weeks because it requires customer participation. We need to sit down and just decide, okay, we had this dashboard, how it's supposed to look in easy Redmine. Okay, let's design it and let's see if you like it or not, if it's beneficial for you or not. And this part is really time consuming, and that takes weeks. And that at the end, when we migrate the data, it could be hours, or it could take a day if it's really big portion of data, even a weekend. But that's the actual load of the data into a pre-configured application.
Thank you. So we have another question right here from Dimitrios. Does any mechanism that can hide data from the customer view exists on the screen data?
If may I comment it? So of course, especially during, or let's say after the import of the data from the Jira, you can clean it up relatively easy. So let's imagine that you can archive like unnecessary projects, unnecessary tasks, statuses, everything could be a bit archived or deactivated, let's call it. And then of course afterwards you can optimize like what should be visible on the even the homepage on the welcome screen, as you mentioned. So first of all, we can hide or clean up the data, and then afterwards we can filter out the data, right, in order to visualize it on the homepage. So yeah, there are, let's say, two mechanisms how to be let's say configuring the data itself, right? But of course you can filter out based on the rights, based on the roles, based on the filters, as you know it from the Jira.
So far I see no other questions, so I guess this is it. So I would like to personally thank you both, you gentlemen, for brilliant informations. I really learned a lot. It was really nice. And I'm pretty sure that we will meet again in another webinars. I'm really looking forward to meet you both. Thank you.
It was my pleasure, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
All right. So that is all from our side. Thank you so much to the audience. Thank you so much that you came here, that you actually found some free time in your busy schedules. And well, I have to just say goodbye and have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care and enjoy your day. Bye bye.